very much, Sandra. Shares of my next guest company soared nearly 8% on Friday amid the fight against Ebola. Sarepta Therapeutics is one of the drug makers currently testing Ebola vaccines. Chris Garabedian is the CEO and president of that company. He joins us right now in Boston. Chris, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to be on your show, Maria.
Well, we know that every patient is a unique case, but shouldn't the treatment in Dallas include the experimental drugs that have shown promise in other patients?
Yeah, well, again, our drug hasn't been tested specifically in any patients infected with Ebola, but we've tested it in many of the primate models. In fact, this specific drug has been tested in over 60 primate models of Ebola, and we've had consistently 60 to 80% survival. So we're pretty confident that this has a good chance of working in a human subject, and we've seen good safety in everything that we've tested in both in the human experience as well as other chemistry that we've tested in other patients.
Very good news. So talk to us about the race to find a vaccine. How close are we? What's the viability of it?
Well, this is not a vaccine. This is for infected patients, and it's a treatment that what we typically see in the primate models of Ebola is that they'll typically die within 8 to 10 or 12 days at the latest. And with our drug administered at the time of infection, we typically see 60 to 80% survival. Keep in mind that we're intentionally inoculating these monkeys with a dose that's lethal. So although we don't see 100% mortality with the current strain, these models are intended to see 100% of the primates die, and that's what's even more remarkable about the efficacy we're seeing.
Really interesting. So what would be the realistic time frame to actually see some of those treatments or this particular treatment on the market?
Well, you know, on the market and FDA approval comes with more extensive testing. In this type of emergency situation, we've already heard the World Health Organization say that these experimental drugs should be tried, you know, given the risk-benefit of this outbreak. And so we have communicated that we have drug available. We're ready to deploy. You know, interestingly, there was a Marburg outbreak over the weekend. A patient died with a confirmed Marburg infection. We have even more experience with the Marburg hemorrhagic fever virus. We're already hearing that the patient's brother is showing signs and symptoms, and they quarantined 80 additional subjects. More than half, or approximately half, are healthcare workers. Our technology is highly adaptable and is able to be modified very quickly to treat any potential virus that may emerge. And so, you know, that's what we want, the agencies to know and understand about our drug, the safety that we've seen, the consistent efficacy we've seen, most specifically in Ebola and Marburg to date.
Very, very good news. So in other words, what you're saying is you've got pretty good confidence that this can be produced in short order in an emergency situation and be out there for use.
Yeah, unfortunately, the manufacturing scale-up is something that you really need to plan for, you know, a year or two in advance. And so we have limited supplies right now for our Ebola drug. We have a couple dozen courses of our Ebola drug. We have a few dozen courses of our Marburg drug. But to scale up to thousands of doses, we would need the funding and probably at least a year or more to get to that level of scale. But this is the time to highlight the need so that, you know, for the next outbreak, whether that's Ebola, Marburg, or some other virus, that we have the capacity to produce, you know, thousands of courses very rapidly.
All right, we'll be watching. Chris, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much.
Maria.
Chris Garabedian joining us. We have a couple